Fellow pips, welcome back to the channel, and if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. I just want to go over focal lengths today. I want to talk about zoom lenses in particular, and in particular the 100 to 400 Fuji XF lens. And not only that, something else. Now with the 100 to 400mm lens, it's absolutely fantastic. I love this lens, I absolutely adore it. It's a 4.5 to 5.6 variable aperture, so that means as you zoom into your subject, the aperture is going to change. It's weather resistant, which is what we all need, especially if you're out in the field. But remember, you've got to have a compatible system. Now we're going to go out in the field and do a proper review of this lens, but there's something else. There is something else that arrived today, and it's this box, and we're going to open it, and I'm excited. I really am. Now when we talk about zoom lenses, we talk about how much reach do we need. Well, the reach we need is, I suppose, on what you're shooting. If you're shooting sports, if you're shooting racing, car racing, you're shooting wildlife, each individual focus length is going to be different for every single scenario. So I've purchased this item secondhand from Wex in Norwich, my favourite shop. A shop that consistently I love to use, because I sat on my settee yesterday looking on my phone thinking about the Victory Show and vintage aircrafts and how much reach do we need. How much is enough reach? There is never enough reach, because as photographers we always want more. So airbags, oh yeah, airbags. Invoice, and this is the little baby. It is a Fuji XF 1.4 times TC, which means teleconverter, WR, weather resistant, for the 100 to 400. Now I've looked on YouTube and I have not found anybody that's combined these two items together and got out there and done a full review. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the review. So I purchased this secondhand from Wex. Now they're saying it's 9+, which is basically brand new, because even brand new stuff, boxes get slightly ripped and damaged, and there's a little wee thing there, but to me it's nothing, absolutely nothing. All the packaging's there, all the instructions, which we don't need. I tell you now, there is weight in that. There is some weight in that. For a little chappy like the size of that, there is some poundage going off. So I'm just going to get rid of these boxes. Let's get them out of the way totally. Now the thing with this converter is it only works with a few lenses. 100 to 400, 100, 80mm macro lens, which is something that's on my shopping list to look for, and the 55 to 140, and then when you put that on, obviously it's going to give you plenty of reach. But the reason why this teleconverter does not fit with other lenses is because of this, the way that it pushes onto the camera. In fact, I'm going to just show you. trusted 100 to 400 mil. And the way that this goes on, obviously you just line your dots up, and that, whoa, that is a neat fit. Look how small it is and compact. And thinking about it now, when you have this lens on an X-T2, which is obviously the biggest camera that's Fuji are doing in the X range, it's always front ever. So I think where we have this tripod mount on the collar, this is going to actually give us a little bit more weight towards the camera, so it's not going to be so heavy, which is a good thing, because there's nothing worse than you're not setting your tripod up properly and it toppling over because everything's front heavy. So what we need to do now, we've got this on the camera, we need to get out and we need to get out and shoot, and we need to get this damn thing sorted. So now we've got it set up, we've looked at it, we're going to give it a proper look through to make sure there's no damage, no scratches, and no mold, things like that. You know, always remember the mold, get a magnifying glass and have a good look in there. So now we've got it attached to the lens, we're going to attach it to the X-T2 and we're going to get out and shoot. I'm going to use this over the next week and I'm going to get back to see how it fares with many different subjects and many different photography locations. So stay tuned, it's coming up now. Photo Pips, I'm here at the Victory Show, but I'm not here at the Victory Show. Basically found a nice little road where you get to see basically everything free of charge. It's brilliant. The atmosphere is fantastic because people that actually live here are out in the street setting chairs up, barbecues are going. It's totally crazy. Probably a better atmosphere here than there is actually inside the place. But I'm here today to test the 100 to 400 mil along with the 1x4 teleconverter. I'm going to really enjoy this. no matter how many times I come to Bradgate Park, I say it all the time, I always get slightly overwhelmed. September is a brilliant time to come. The males are in full bloom, their antlers are fully grown, and they're just looking for their ladies. Mischievous, fun to watch, but keep in mind, this is a delicate time for the deer. When I was at the air show, I was shooting exactly the same settings. It's just trying to track something that's travelling so fast was so difficult. I found that most of the focal lengths was sort of mid-range, somewhere around 3 to 400 really. So I mean, I didn't really need the converter for that air show, but there were shots that I did get that was brilliant for the converter. Seagull, look, just took off beautifully. So what was I saying? Yeah, so the difference between here and there was trying to shoot at those low shutter speeds was very difficult, especially with the converter on. It was very difficult, but the hit ratio was not brilliant. But you know what? Out of every single group of shots, I did get a shot, at least one shot out of each group, which is all we need, is one shot. But here today on a tripod, just relaxing, taking in the vistas of Bradgate Park and the beautiful scenery of animals that are passing me by. It's a pleasure to be here. It's ease, it's absolutely easy. Now the thing is with the 1.4 converter, it's in the metadata. When you look at your focal lengths, it's actually added the focal length of the 1x4, so the reach that we're getting in the metadata is 560 right at the end, and it is, I think it's 140 at the bottom end. Yeah, of course 140, it's a 1x. It's brilliant. Is it enough? It's never enough, come on. I feel I've really found what this lens is for, and with the converter, wildlife. The situation that I'm in now is the marriage made in heaven for this. This is the thing, when the red deer are out, this is going to be brilliant because they tend not to come so close. They ain't daft, they know we're here to take their photos, they're just making it difficult for us. But let's carry on down. Quick tip about Bradgate Park, I say every time, follow the river down, because you never know what you're going to get. The combination of the 100 to 400 mil along with the 1.4 converter is absolutely stunning. I wish they'd have done it ages ago. The downside is the widest aperture you're going to get is f8 with this combination on. The 1.4 teleconverter has 7 elements in 3 groups. The 100 to 400 is 21 elements in 14 groups. The 100 to 400 weighs in at approximately 1,375 grams, and the converter is 130 grams. Add them together and you get in a massive weight of 1.5 tons. That's what it really feels like when it's on your back. But whack a tripod on. The image stabilization in this lens is stunning, absolutely fantastic. It's going to give you 8 stops, so you can afford with a tripod to shoot really low as long as your subject's not racing around too much. Let's go and see if we can find some more red deer and get some shooting done. I love it, come on. So I wasn't expecting the rain this morning, so I'm going to have to put the X-T20 away. The X-T20 just could not handle something like that, but the X-T2, the 100 to 400 and that teleconverter, that is not a problem for the weather. This is an image I always love to take whenever I'm testing any super zoom or zoom really. There's always a step in through the trees, but I always like to zoom straight in just to see what sort of detail we can pull out of the shot. Now this is taken straight out at the highest point of 560. I'm going to stick with full frame equivalents. Look at that, it's stunning, it's absolutely stunning. I don't know if you can see it on the image itself, but what I shall do is just brighten it up a little. Let's just see if we can get a focus on there. So as you can see here in the metering, the ideal shot is probably around, that'd be at perfect exposure, and then we've got a slightly overexposed shot, but the reality of this shot, because of the haze, we need to just cut that haze out. If we just go a third of a stop, that should be the perfect example. Oh, stunning. For the scale, there has been a group of people just walked on top of the hill, 3 dogs. Just as I look through, I've got the shot, take a look, because it gives you sense of scale. Look how far away we are here. Remember, this lens that I'm using for video is the 23, which is the 35mm equivalent, which is more or less a great example of how we look. I believe that 50mm is apparently the proper vision size wise, but 35 ain't far off. So look at that. You cannot see these people that are actually running, jogging, walking the dogs. And when you look through there, they're like, vroom. I love it. It's brilliant. Come on. Park's getting busy, but some sort of reenactment going off. Could be good for the lens.